Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome back to FM23, Newton Heath. This is episode 15. My first goal in this series, of course, was survival, as we were, placed with no squad whatsoever, no staff, and, the lowest reputation, the lowest facilities, right? Everything was stacked against us. And I wouldn't have cared about relegation. It would have been totally fine to have relegation in the first season, except we were in the lowest playable league. Now, of course, today, in December, you can by now get the 10 tier mod, and you can play all the way down to the 10th division. So getting relegated out of the 6th would be no problem. But we started this series right away within a day or two of release, full release, and the mod wasn't available yet. So being in the 6th tier, being in the lowest division, meant if we get relegated from there, it's game over. So survival was paramount, and that was all that mattered. Squad building, getting competitive players was all that mattered. And then we succeeded at that. So this season has gone a little bit differently. After we reshaped the squad a little bit during the off season, our second goal was get to January of year 2 and get into New Trafford. Get that 74,000 seat capacity stadium and the fans that are going to come with it as part of, the playthrough, as how it's designed, and then get that ball rolling. Well, we've now achieved that target as well. So where to go from here? Well, I think the more obvious direction to go from here is to invest. I'm not yet worried about promotion. I don't think it has to be an immediate type thing this season. But we are pretty competitive. And for now, I don't think rushing to get to semi-pro or pro even matters that much because A, we are saving a ton of money by still being an amateur side, and B, I think the board is probably going to do it organically during the off season, just based on where our finances are going to be at that point and the level that we are in. I have a feeling that they're going to bump us to semi-pro anyway on their own this summer. That's my guess anyway. And based on that, I don't think it needs to happen right now. The main reason for that is survival is not an issue. In fact, we're doing quite well and we're finding pretty good players. There is a ton of competition to get them signed. And we are missing out and we're losing out, but the overall quality of the squad is pretty good, pretty competitive. And I'm not terribly worried about getting promoted just yet. And I think the reason for that is I think time is on our side. And the more we're able to invest in the club, the better we're going to be. So trying to do a promotion now while we're at a 1 in everything doesn't make a ton of sense. Banking some money and reinvesting that in the club and building up facilities that are going to make us properly competitive for the level, and then hitting that semi-pro or professional status, that combination, and staff building and youth building, I think all of that's going to get us to that point where you can then look at us and go, hey, there's Wrexham Football Club trying to get out of the 5th tier, and boy, oh boy, are they heavy favorites. And oh gosh, by the way, that's a lot of pressure on Wrexham. They're a tier above us, and of course, if you don't know, the story with Wrexham, where have you been for the last year? Where have you been for the last 2? As I was already following it well before Welcome to Wrexham was coming out. The moment Ryan Reynolds was, who's that other guy? Rob what? But yeah, the moment Ryan Reynolds was tied to purchasing a football club. Now, of course, for me, fandom of a famous part owner or sponsor of a club, for me, getting excited by someone famous owning a club, actually, I had already been kind of struck by that bug before, and that was John Green with AFC Wimbledon, fan-owned club, and John Green, the author, Fault in Our Stars, and for me, more importantly, especially as, well, now former educator, but somebody who was teaching, he's, big YouTube star. I'd incorporate Crash Course into my lessons on a fairly regular basis, as they were wonderful, wonderful summaries done by, well, John and Hank Green for that matter. But when I heard that he was attached to AFC Wimbledon and sponsoring one of the stadium ends, I got to admit I was all about that. And to hear Ryan Reynolds, coming in with Robin McElhenney and buying Wrexham Football Club and helping the town and seeing Welcome to Wrexham, great experience. Love to see something like that, grassroots level, right? It's not like going out and buying, well, Manchester United and already having the near finished product that just needs a little bit of tweaking to get right. That's the funny thing about taking on, say, Manchester United in FM, and why I find that type of playthrough absurdly boring personally, is that you have already the finished product, or you already have the near finished product, and my oh my, all you need is an Erling Haaland or Kylian Mbappe or Jude Bellingham, right? You need that one key player or a couple key players, 2 transfers later, and you are winning the Champions League. How is that success, right? My first couple of playthroughs back in FM 2011 when I first started playing, yeah, okay, they were that, but from FM, possibly 2012 or certainly by 2013, ever since, and most any FM players, and probably any of you that are FM players and watching a series like this and watching us build, you have that same mentality. You're starting from the lower tiers and climbing that ladder. I mean, that is what FM is all about. Not playing as PSG or Manchester City or Barcelona and making things happen there. I mean, Schalke is at least a little bit of a challenge because you have absurd debt. Well, anyway, enough about side topic stuff. Let's get back into the series. We are mid-February, and we're rolling. We've won 4 out of our last 5, including a draw, so without a loss over the last 5. After a media prediction initially of 17th, we find ourselves all the way up in 4th place in Vanarama National League North. The biggest problem that we've been facing once we got past the point where we just had players that were nowhere near good enough for the level, once we got players good enough to play in the level, that constant snowball of squad building that we've been on for a year and a half now, while it has slowed, it's still happening. And the big issue is, we just don't have solid cohesion or atmosphere within the club as we bring in new players, and the players that they're replacing are suddenly going, gosh, I've been replaced, I want to start games, oh no, woe is me. And I understand it, I've been there. I was on a first division club. We won the league. I actually scored the key goal that got us the win against the team that ended up, eventually finishing second and was the 2-time defending champion in the league. Best goal of my career, header, coming off a corner, and then all of a sudden somebody new came into the club and decided that they former professional, played for Dallas, had been drafted out of college by Dallas as a goalkeeper, went on to be with Tottenham, never made it out of their reserve squad, had a knee problem, retired, could still just about play, and came overseas as technical director for the national team and was playing goalkeeper for us. And he made the decision that I was better served as your late energy, 20-30 minute guy. And I cared about playing time. I was out having fun and wanted the exercise. I didn't care about whether we were winning or not. So the next season, I played Division Two, and we dominated and won Division Two, and that was a lot more exciting. And that's actually where I learned that I was a center back, not a left mid or a left winger, as we would have been considered now, but we were traditional 4-4-2 back then. But anyway, I've been there. I understand where these guys are coming from, that they want to play. They're at a stage in their career, and especially when you break down the fact that these aren't paid professionals. We're an amateur side. In an amateur side, you absolutely want the experience. That's what you're there for. Now, there's the occasional where you're happy to be a backup because either A, you have health issues and can only play so much, or you're so old and can only play so long, or you are very young and developing and up and coming and you want to learn, and so just getting the occasional appearance off the bench or occasional start is good for you. But when you were already 30 something and know that you're the hardest working player on the entire squad, not necessarily the best player on the squad, but the hardest working player on the squad, I get it. There's factors that go into that mentality of you want to play, especially as an amateur. But despite that, team cohesion is not bad, and that's been the really helpful thing. But this revolving door that we find ourselves in has made it hard to really, really lock things down, which has made consistency a bit of a problem. But like I said, I'm not actually worried about promotion now. And therefore, I think the continued evolution of the squad is still in my best interest for the time being. I didn't know if he would actually go with us or not. I've been waiting for this one for a while. But of all people, Ben Tozer is coming to play for Newton Heath. Now, for those who don't know, I was just talking about it a few minutes ago, Wrexham. Ben Tozer is the guy who does the crazy long throws. He has incredible arm strength to get the ball in the box time and time and time again, even with only a couple steps into it. In the U.S., at certain levels, it is allowed to do I don't even know what they call it. There is a specific name for it, and I'm sure somebody's going to throw this one down in the comments below. But you do like a flip over the ball. You put the ball on the ground and flip, and that extra whip motion allows you to launch the ball in. And not many people perfect it, but some high schoolers figure it out and then kind of carry on and do it through collegiate levels. Ben Tozer takes 2 steps and launches the ball into the box. Now there's other aspects to his skill, and at 33, hey, we're bringing in somebody on free. He is a little bit on the slow side, but he's got, outside of flair and off the ball movement, he's good mentally. He's otherwise good physically, besides being a little slow and not so agile. And then his defensive technical attributes they're fine. It's 11s and 12s, and then there's that 18 long throws. And Tozer actually comes in as a player coach for us. I'm curious about how he is as a defensive midfielder, and he's pretty decent. I think this is where I'm actually planning on playing him, is putting him there into that defensive midfield as well. We've already got 2 really quality center backs, and getting him that little bit higher up the pitch based on these attributes anyway is probably a better place for him to. But he also comes into us as a player coach. Not tremendous in his skill set, but absolutely, something that is good for us as a squad. Just for comparison's sake, this is our starting center back from last season, and ultimately the guy on the roster who he's replacing, including our current captain. I'll show you him in a second as well. But Kigbu is the player that I'm about to release. He's been upset for a while that he was being replaced, and upset that he was being replaced, and upset that he was being replaced. He knows where he kind of stands in the squad. He's right at the bottom of it now, and you can see that nothing in comparison. I mean, even while he has a few mental attributes that are in that low teens or at least double digits, technically there's only one. Heading is the only thing that even reached double digits, and physically he's not great. He's a little bit faster than Tozer, and that's it. So it's clear we are making some progress. And again, with amateurs, that is so easy. 2 button clicks and nothing comes of it. No damage felt. The other player that he very much is replacing is our team captain, Adam Bale. And, you can see Adam Bale, other than taking penalties and a tackling of 10, he's very weak. He's the weakest one on the roster now, but he's been the captain for, the last 2 seasons. I'm going to wait until the off season to get rid of him. He's had 30 total appearances, 7 goals. Not bad, but he's very weak overall, and he's had 2 appearances this season is all. One lesson learned about a brand new 75,000 seat stadium with 60,000 fans to go with it, because it does raise the volume a little bit. I've turned it down to now literally the minimum to have it even on, so hopefully the audience is not overly loud and drowning me out any longer. But getting on with the game here. This is a tough one. This is a very tough one. The reason why is it's not league. This is the FA Trophy. And we are just a single step away right now in the 5th round. A single off the crossbar. We're a single step away from the quarterfinals. So we are very, very late in the tournament by this point. Most of the teams that remain in the tournament by this point are 5th tier. Now, for those who aren't familiar, the FA Trophy is the smaller of the 3 competitions that we participate in this level. We have the league, which of course that is the path up, path forward. We have the FA Cup, which is nationwide, plus some Welsh teams. The ones that play. Oh, that was offside. Okay. But the ones that participate in the English pyramid, it's the whole pyramid. It's down to those lower levels, something like the 8th or 9th tier, and it's elimination. Now the bigger teams, Premier League teams, don't come in until like the 3rd round proper. You have qualifying rounds before that. However, it's everybody. So it is that underdog story of the little minnow that could play against the giants and be what they call giant killers. Well, that competition starts with those smaller teams, and the big teams don't get in until later. But those smaller teams eventually get knocked out by bigger teams higher up the pyramid. So there's another competition later in the season. Instead of the FA Cup, it's called the FA Trophy. Is Ebanks? Oh, unlucky on the deflection. That could have easily at least been a corner kick. Instead, it's right into the hands of the keeper. But we are level, 6 shots apiece. It's nearly halftime. Ebanks, man, we are playing lights out right now. The FA Trophy is the lower reaches. Oh, what? Novak called for the foul on that one. I thought we were going to step up to the penalty spot, and instead we get called. Novak, maybe a little too aggressive. He is a strong player, if I remember correctly from his attributes. No team above the 5th tier is involved in the FA Trophy, so it's 5th tier and below. So we've got a great chance of being competitive in this one, except for that fact that, hey, we only just started getting competitive in our 6th tier. So by this point, you don't see very many 6th tier sides left. 16 teams total, right? That's less than the makeup of that 5th tier. So to still be in it is good. To be competitive right now against Woking is amazing, as we're arguably the better side right now. Barely, but that could all change in an instant. Change on this corner kick. 56 minutes in. Let's focus in on the game for the remainder of this one as we keep our dreams alive. Actually, there's no dreams for this one. I know we're not going to win this competition, but making it to the quarterfinals would be pretty badass in just our second season. Oh, there's Alex Salmon breakthrough. I thought he might have skied that one, or it might have come back off the crossbar, but it hits the roof of the net, but on the inside, not the outside. That is that breakthrough. It looked like we tried to play maybe an offside trap at the last second. That was... I don't have a number 4. That looked like number 4. But anyway, what we have going on roster-wise is that Tozer is playing center back today, and that's because we have two center backs that are unavailable. One for suspension, and that's our top guy, Wilson, and then the other one, Sams, who would be that first backup for him. Oh gosh, we're late in the game. I'm a little late on subs here, and we're trailing 1-0. Let's go ahead and bring on maybe a happy home. And no, it's 89th minute. It's too late for anything now. Now it's way too late for anything. Cancel. Just finish the game out. So we are going to go down. So close, so competitive. Hugill is the other one who is in the side based on Tozer having to play center back, and Hugill is the one who makes the mistake, gives that one away, and they capitalize on that mistake. Not a huge crowd for this FA Trophy game, but it's still a pretty large one, and it's going to bring some additional money in for the club. Out of the competition, but that's okay. Not worried about that. Really just worried about making some money short term. But like I said, it's a league. That's going to be our bigger focus until at least being in the 5th tier. And then we'll start thinking about trying to win this FA Trophy as a small prize. We went quiet in the second half. Man, oh man, look at that. We were level at halftime, XG-wise. I mean, we had played ourselves into that one. And first minute of the second half we did well, but we had nothing after that. They completely shut us down. Tactically, if I was a little more focused on the game itself instead of talking to you about the FA Trophy, maybe I could have made some adjustments there. 4 points from the last 2 matches, both against top-end sides. Both sides were in the promotion playoffs, or at least at the time that we played them. And we come away, with 4 points. One at home, one on the road. And we led 2-0 in this one. That's so disappointing that they get 2 goals in the dying moments to equalize. So infuriating on that part. But regardless, we do come away with a decent outcome from those and find ourselves, still in a good place. We're 5th place right now. And we had a game in, well, no. Almost everybody else had a game in hand on us prior. Now we're pretty much level with everybody else. I do have 2 more home games out of the next 3, so I'm going to quickly get through these, but we're looking at maybe a difficult stretch. Hennitzford's, they're 10th. FC United is 14th, and we're on the road there, but then we have Tamworth, who are dominating the league right now. So I would say maybe 4 to 5 points from these 3 is what we could be aiming for. Maybe 6, but I doubt it. If we can come away with 4 points or better out of these 3 matches, I'd be pretty dang happy. Plus, we should be, seeing a pretty solid balance increase from 2 more home games coming up, and then maybe it'll be time to try once again the investment side and see if we can't get the board to agree to anything at that stage. We are experiencing what I can only imagine is home field advantage, as we have been perfect in our last 4 league games, 5 league games at home, 6 league games, 7 since moving into New Trafford. We have 7 wins from 7 matches at home, excluding the closely hard-fought one that we just saw a few minutes ago in that FA Trophy 5th round loss. But outside of that, 7 straight league wins at home. On the road, different story. We haven't done anywhere near as well there. I mean, looking at our last few, we have a draw, we have another draw, and we have a loss at FC United, who actually complete the season sweep against us. So that's been our bogey team this year the real life version of what we are. Hednesford, 2-0, both first half goals. This one, they actually had somebody sent off and we still couldn't get back. We had the early lead, but fell apart. And then Novak with the 40th minute goal against the league leaders with 57,000 present, 56,000 present in the match before, 56,000 before that one, 45,000 for the FA Trophy, and 50,000 in the home game prior to that. Now, that is a lot of home games, a lot of attendance. Let's see now where the balance is at here in mid-March. You know what? Let's hold off on that just a second. Let's verify kind of where we're at with the league first, and then we'll take a look at the finances as there's more follow-up to do with that one. But we have 4 home games remaining on the season is all, which I think means that places us for one more end-of-season opportunity to get after things following our effort, here. But it's getting pretty late in the season. There's 24 teams, so 23 opponents. That's 46 matches for the year. We have 10 remaining, and we are pretty firmly in the competition now for at least promotion playoff spot. I mean, Tamworth, miles ahead. We gave them just their 4th loss of the year. Boston United still have a pretty clear advantage in second with 71 points, but it's still kind of marginal. But Kings Lynn has fallen off a bit, quite a bit actually, and we're now just 3 points behind them. So we could potentially find ourselves in 3rd place, maybe. I mean, we certainly have the goal differential for it. We could find ourselves in 3rd place and see a first playoff round bye, and then get that home field for the semifinals. That would increase our chances enormously on potentially going through. So hopefully we can manage to do that. But either way, we are now 8 points clear of not being in the classification. And we have a little bit easier stretch coming up on the schedule than what we've had of late. So if we can continue to perform, I mean, Novak's got 29 goals. Great pickup with Lee Novak. And keeping him in the roster, keeping him inside has been huge. And, our weakest area is wings right now, and yet we continue to get goals. So on the financial side of things, it looks like we are banking about $1.5 million per month during the season. Of course, during the off season, that would be a different matter, but that's a great place to be. And I think we're looking really good on the finances right now. $6 million is a lot to have in the bank for a club at our level. Is it enough, though, to convince the board of something more? I mean, we've already got the training facilities coming during the off season upgrade. What else can we get? Increase youth level, I think, is still the first thing that I'd like to get on the go. So let's ask again and see how they think about it now. I've rejected it, but it's not based on finances. They think it's sufficient for the standard of a player. I think maybe that's because we're amateur. They don't care being that we're amateur, so that might involve increasing to semi-pro and then go, oh gosh, we have no youth academy of any kind. Boy, yeah, maybe we should do something about that. I think as an amateur side, that might be the reason for it, but let's go ahead and discuss it with the board and see. You never know. It certainly wouldn't hurt our determination by having a chat, but we're not going to push the issue too hard here. We'll just see if we can do some convincing. All right, so we kind of have 3 levels here, and the disappointed one is what I'm going to go with. Let's see what they have to say. Okay, we're going to go with left behind. Still trying to convince. Like I said, we don't want to push too hard at this point. We'll push harder later on, especially I think once we turn semi-pro. This is an area where we'll be able to make a bigger push. Seems like without the semi-professional status, it might be hard, but we're going to try the other youth areas as well beginning. So it was denied, and they're saying good enough for a club our size. I think what it's really referring to is the club reputation. The club reputation is not high enough to warrant something more than a level 1. So that's another thing that time will help cure, with or without promotion. They seem to be going off of club reputation when it comes to that decision about youth recruitment. And yeah, that's a tricky one to get past. We are, just because money's going to start rolling in doesn't automatically mean that everything's a given, because we still had some constraints put in place that are working against us. And in this case, it looks like that club reputation. Let's go ahead and check in on where that's at now here in the later part of season 2. Approaching 200, but still only a 195 out of 10,000. So, I mean, we're talking about, you can scale that down a little bit, a 2 out of 100. So, a reputation of 2%. It's quite low. It is quite low, but we do have the stadium part. Morale is good, 16 out of the 20. So there are absolutely good things happening and coming, and I think the finances will just reach a point if we have enough money kind of sitting in the bank. Things are going to just start happening. Right now, it's still considered just okay finances. It's suddenly going to be seen as, oh my goodness, we have money. We should invest it somehow. I don't think we've quite reached that stage. You have to have a decent bank account for that to happen, even though for a club this size, for this level, our profit versus our expenses, like, we're headed to a very, very good point in the near future. And having, $6 million in the bank is plenty for this level to get things done. But there still seems to be reluctance, maybe because we also are, carrying quite a bit of debt. I mean, don't forget, we still owe 40 million. So actually, we're overall, our net debt. That's a lot, right? I mean, and actually, that is still debt. That's our net debt. We actually still owe 46 million. That's accounting for the 6 million that we have. Therefore, the club is still looking at itself going, yeah, we're 40 million in the hole. So it could be a while, theoretically, before we climb out of that hole enough for the board to be confident in the finances that we have to really start unloading cash for what might be considered more minor requests, right? The holdup on the youth stuff right now is that we don't have a high reputation. We're seen as, a tiny, tiny club reputation-wise. And yes, it's building, but it's only building at such a pace. And okay, fine, we're in the 6th tier and everybody else around us has this wealth of reputation comparatively and better facilities and better this, that, and the other thing. And we're not matching that. So you could look at that and go, well, they're here, we're here. Why aren't we there? Right? Matching that is one thing. If you have a ton of money, getting them to match that, I think it's a different matter than being a club that's 40 million in debt still. And so there's that trade-off and low reputation. But do we need to wait till we have that 40 million in the bank? Do we need to wait till we have 50 million more in the bank, right? To actually have proper money and not see a net debt before we're going to really get this ball moving? Could be. And all of that plays into I'm not in a major rush to get us promoted to the 5th tier. It's okay if it doesn't happen this season or next season for that matter. I mean, we can bide our time and make incremental steps. It's okay. We are entering our easiest stretch, though. I mean, we just had Hereford, who we actually only managed to draw away, but we do have some weaker sides on the calendar. We can hope for some decent points, but we also have a transfer deadline transfer window closing, so moves are going to ultimately come to a halt, or at least moves outgoing. Other teams sweeping in and taking our guys, because we actually did lose another. We lost a pretty decent player, one of our upper mid guys, fullback for either side, Harry Wright, signed with somebody who offered him some cash. But with the end of the season fast approaching, next episode is going to focus on that end of the season. It does look like we are likely headed for promotion playoffs, and so we'll be focusing our attention on that one next time. Even if I'm not too keen on it happening right away, it's still going to be the focus of our attention. And it looks like I could actually end up holding the team back by managing them personally. We do worse when I'm managing the team than when the assistant manager is, which makes a certain amount of sense. When you look at this, Matty Hughes is much better at his job than I am at mine. In fact, we have made no progress since last time we checked in. I suppose it was only a couple months ago, but either way, 14 matches as manager, we've only managed to get 5 wins, and a couple of those were preseason games. So pretty poor record actually at the helm. Vacation is a good place for me to be, but also possibly part of the reason why I'm not progressing terribly fast. And with just those 9 to go and just 2 points shy of third place, and I think that's the target for me. That's where I'm hoping to get if we are going to potentially see promotion this season. It's clear that we're doing really good at home, so we need that home field advantage, and that means we need to get either second or third. Doesn't matter which one of the two, because I believe, not just for the National League, but I believe National League North, I believe 6th tier, you're also getting Wembley if you're in the final. So the semifinal at home is the key. Skipping the quarterfinals is another key, right? You only have one match and it's at home. Then you go to Wembley, where it's neutral ground, and maybe you win, maybe you lose, but you're not on the road. And we are clearly a team that's on the road, but bringing 50, 60,000 into the stadium seemingly is working wonders for the team performance since January. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.